It is now the 20th day of our reading through 1st and 2nd Samuel, and welcome once again. By way of a brief recap, uh, David had attempted to bring the ark back to, bring it to Jerusalem and find a permanent and sacred spot for it. However, there was trouble because they had failed to correctly follow the protocols, and once they did uh, align with the proper etiquette, there was a big party in Jerusalem. David was dancing. His wife Michal was disappointed in him, to say the least. But in the next chapter, David was, as that chapter concluded, chapter 6, David was vindicated because Michal became barren. And then in chapter 7, David was further vindicated because of the special covenant that God was creating with him. So the momentum of David is continuing. Every chapter, something good is happening. And, how do you improve and continue that trajectory after such a great covenant has been articulated that we last read? Well, the momentum is going to continue in this regard. Military victory in chapter number 8. All of these that are surrounding David, various tribes and groups and nations, and he's going to bring them under subjection. He's going to take out the Philistines, the primary enemy. He's going to bring calamity to the Moabites. In fact, they are going to start paying tribute to him, to honor him and hope that they're going to be left alone going forward. Then there's King Hadadezer. David's going to see 1,700 charioteers and 20,000 infantrymen, and he's going to even cut the hamstrings of 100 of their chariot horses. He's brought them under subjection as well. And this is widespread, where King Toy of Hamath, he's going to send a delegation to bless David, and both verbally as well as with gifts. And he's had some enemies that David has taken care of. And when you've got somebody who's marching against everyone successfully, you want to kind of buy them off. And so that's what that king is doing. There's other places as well it's mentioning David is launching successful military campaigns against the Edomites, the Amalekites, and the Ammonites. All of these people who were persistent pests to the Hebrews. Throughout their history, David is taking care of this. All of this... all of these peoples, they have a certain presence of biblical history, to where these are important peoples in the unfolding stories in terms of having offered resistance to the Hebrews before. In his bringing the Moabites under subjection, you may recall, if you followed when we were walking through the book of Ruth in a sermon series back during Advent. Ruth was a Moabite, and she was looked down upon because of what the Moabite people had done to the Hebrews in generations past. So this is really something now. David, he's a foreign policy champion. He is a tremendous warrior. And so now, what is he going to do in terms of domestic policy? Well, we go into chapter number 9, and here is this character of Mephibosheth. This is going to be personal for David, but it's also it's a domestic policy win. Okay, Mephibosheth is a son of Jonathan, the one who David was very close to. This is going to illustrate here that David is a man of character, virtue. He is a man who is loyal. And he had a personal covenant with Jonathan that they were going to take care of each other's families. If one met their demise, the other would step up. And, well, it's Mephibosheth here. He was the son of Jonathan, who was crippled. He was very young when Jonathan died in battle. He was dropped, and his legs broke. They were unable to heal correctly, and he was rendered lame for the rest of his life. And David's going to bring him in. And of course, there was the typical pattern was you kill off the heirs of your competitors. You don't want anyone who remains who feels that they have some sort of DNA entitlement to the throne. Which Mephibosheth, being son of Jonathan, the eldest son of Saul, he has some DNA claim. And so all you need is some people to be disgruntled with David, to lead an uprising and say, we want Mephibosheth to be king. He's entitled. Well, David's going to call for this Mephibosheth, and he's going to remember Jonathan, the father of Mephibosheth, and he's going to invite Mephibosheth to come and to eat here with David, to have a place at the palace, and to eat from the royal table. This is demonstrating David's kindness. So check this out. We're concluding this week's reading, and look at the contrast of David and Saul here. Saul was very threatened. He was very insecure. He was very territorial. Look at David here. David is very secure. David is very confident. And he's showing good kindness. Saul could not handle other people around him. He could not handle David. Even before David had really excelled in as David was rising into something of a alpha male character. Boy, that really threatened Saul. But here David, he's not threatened by somebody who may have a claim to the throne by way of DNA. He's going to be good to this guy. So, David is meeting his potential. He certainly knows Saul at this point. The question, I guess, that we began to ask as we close this week and go into next week, what is he going to do with all of this capital? Is he going to capitalize on it? He's meeting his potential, but isn't there some further potential that he can meet? He's done a lot of things on the smaller picture, but what can he do in the larger, more permanent picture to experience continued success for this kingdom? Because that is what's going to matter. The covenant with God is that David would have a permanent name and a permanent dynasty. What's David going to do to secure this? And so, that's the question going into next week. Can David get even better than he is already? All right, I will meet you again next time. And thank you for joining with me during these Lenten readings. I hope that you are finding value in these. And now we are through chapter 9 out of 24 chapters. And so we're more than the third of the way through 2 Samuel. All right, until next time.